Hi there, Terminator fans. This is Roscoe. Welcome to a quick review of the Prime 1 half scale Terminator 1 Endoskeleton. Now, this is from their movie Masterline series. They've done Joker, Batman, and a few others in that line. From their HD Museum Masterline, I think. So I had this sort of put off for a number of years. This has been out for pre-order for about 3 years now. It's been delayed numerous times. I hadn't ordered it myself, but I decided to see how it turned out once in hand by other collectors. Unfortunately, hadn't received much sort of high reviews, I'd say so far, from people who've got this piece. However, I decided, I've sold every other Terminator piece or every other endoskeleton in my collection to get this one and only. Huge fan of Terminator 1, especially without the, the weapon, the gun, which T2 endos always have. So I bit the bullet and ordered it through Sideshow. It arrived a couple of days ago. So this is also the exclusive version, which comes with the plaque down the bottom. So far I've been very happy with it. No real issues at all, to be honest, what I can see so far. So we'll get in and take a closer look, and I'll talk a bit further about why I'm pretty happy with it. So before I get into it, actually, I'll just say the camera, sort of the way the size of this piece is quite huge. I'm on the other side of the room here to fit it into screen. So it's a lot taller than you'd expect. I expected something a little bit smaller, not as heavy, but it is quite heavy, quite tall. It's well over 1 meter in height. But yeah, so it's very, very hard to get good photos, especially I've seen people on Facebook take photos that look absolutely horrible. The camera seems to distort this piece. So having it midway through the body there, you can sort of see it's all in proportion. Whereas if you stand up looking like this and taking photos through a normal camera, it doesn't look that great. So anyways, let's go and take a quick look. So here we have the head. Now that's little section here, I haven't got batteries yet. Prime 1 don't supply batteries anymore. I know they do with the early Transformers pieces I have, but obviously not now. I think these are LR44s or something like that. I think we need 2 of them. You take that off, it's magnetized, put the 2-cell batteries in, put that back on, and on this side the button is here, and that should turn the lights on. So I'll test that out tomorrow. I'll go get some batteries and hopefully that works all okay. Let's quickly take a look at the rest of the piece first before I talk about all the parts you have to put together on it. Absolutely massive, guys. Base is quite large, like all Prime 1 bases, but going off a lot of other Prime 1 bases, it's not too bad. So here's the plaque that comes with the exclusive version. It's got a nice felt on the bottom. The piece is actually, I've been sort of up for pre-order and shown the prototype with this sort of direction, with the base like that, dragging his foot, be sort of looking the other way. You can have the head sort of turned, facing this way, but I think it looks a lot better front on. That's how I'm going to be displaying it. So unfortunately it's going to point out a little bit more with the base, but it allows for that plaque to be sat on the base instead of in front of the base, further down here. So that's how I'll be doing it. Now you get one sleeve of instructions. It's double-sided, goes up to about 100 steps. It's absolutely insane. Common sense seems to prevail most of the time when you're looking at the instructions. What you do on one side, you usually repeat on the other side. It's very symmetrical. Yeah, so there's parts like the heads apart, the shoulder blade things at the back, they've got wires already built in. That's something you've got to be very careful with. They've got their own little sort of cables attached, and that's something if you bend that the wrong way, they'll snap. You got five cables, sorry, to attach to it. So this one here, you have to attach that onto the arm, feed it through here, and you get a little angle bracket part in the box. You attach that and then push that on. And you've got all the other ones which go into the bottom of the chest cavity, and you've got to feed up through different areas. Now, a lot of people have those cables sort of spread out wide, coming out from here. The Terminator shouldn't look like that. They should go close to his neck and go down that back cavity there, as per the instructions, which, as I said, are very hard to see. They're not very clear. Some of them are zoomed out too much, and some of them are zoomed in way too much, and you don't even know what you're looking at. So, as I said, once you figure out one side, you usually just repeat the other side. Got these front pistons, they've got to be assembled as well. I don't know why, but there's these two chest cavity pistons in there. I don't know why they didn't already come pre-assembled, but you got to slide that in and push that on. There's a pin. And that's something you got to be careful if. I think in future, if you're ever disassembling this or selling it on, once you push that in, I don't think that's something you should try and pull back out. It's a snug fit, and it's something you might end up breaking the pin. So if you're ever selling this piece, I'd just leave that in there. I wouldn't be pulling them out. So that's just a silly sort of, I think that should have already been pre-assembled, to be honest. But you have to put that part in there, and there's another one on the other side there. You have to assemble these parts here. These are two parts. You have the arms. There's one thing that worries me at this piece, really, is that this whole arm, it's magnetized. It just sort of clicks on by a magnet. It's not really any pins to hold it in. You're just relying solely on the magnet. If that magnet fails, the arm's just going to drop. So that's something that worries me a little bit. You've got the waist area. Now he's sort of hunched over, like in that end scene in the film, where he's dragging his foot where it's been broken. And he's sort of leaning over, which is this piston's sort of a bit shorter here, which is great. A bit longer here. So this whole hip and body section is all one piece. You click the two legs on via magnets, and they're quite a nice, snug, tight fit. And you slide the two pins simultaneously down into the holes in the base. There's three sort of leg pistons you've got to assemble. So you put this one in here, and there's a little pin that hold that one in. There's two at the back, which once you push into a pin in, it comes down, a little magnet grabs the bottom of it. So the magnet holds the back one side of it in, whereas the pin that's already on the piston holds it in. You've got to attach this little cabling to the pistons there as well. Now, a lot of people think, oh, that's not movie accurate. There's parts in this piece that are not movie accurate, but surely there is some things that aren't movie accurate to Terminator 1, but people need to realize Terminator 1 was different to the usual T2 stuff we get constantly. There's not much T1 stuff out there. This is probably the best T1 piece that's been released, in my opinion. As I said, there's only Hot Toys, I think, has done a T1, and a couple of smaller 1/6 versions of the T1 as well, which weren't that great. But Promon really captured so many things that people didn't even notice on film. So I know the T2 don't think has that. I think T2 has arm cables, things like that, whereas this is the T1. It's got extra things and it's missing other things that the T2 had, and so on and further on throughout the series. So I think it's a little bit more, T1 was a little bit more slender. It wasn't as bulky as the T2. The feet, unfortunately, are plastic. The sort of the peg that holds it in is supposed to do all the work, really. So these are just more for show, they're not really a structural part of the piece. But, you know, being with such a heavy piece, being right down the bottom of the base, that should have been metal, in my opinion. Because I heard through another collector, he's leant forward a little bit too much and snapped the toes off. Promon told him just to glue them back on, which I don't think is very good at all. This side here, they're off the base, so you know they're not really under much pressure. But on this side, they sort of do have a little bit of force on them. So it's not something that you're going to want to play around and swing the piece too much. You know, so yeah, that's the one. Besides the magnets in the arms, I think the feet is probably the other little bit of a fail from Prime 1, that they should have made sure that was solid down there. But overall, to look at, this is probably the best, in my opinion. I've seen a lot of the Marquettes, you know, the, Sideshow, HCG, Cinemaquette. I feel if I was to pick out of all of them, not thinking about the history, who was behind it, just the piece, how it looks itself, the size, the presence, the accuracy, I'd choose this in a heartbeat. Very menacing. Now, being such a heavy piece, also it's not something you're going to want around if kids are around. Obviously, we don't want kids around with the statues anyway, unless they're sort of, behind glass or whatnot. But because it's so top heavy, you touch that, it's going to sway back and forward and swing. That's probably not good for it. So it's not like a piece where once you're in a statue, you put it in, it's sort of locked in, it's solid. There's so much weight here, and there is some flex. Swing. If you were to walk past and bump it, especially with the arms, you walk past and too fast, whack that arm could come off, or this one, just depends how hard you hit it. So it's something, once you assemble, you don't want to move again, that's for sure. So or even touch. So there's a lot of parts together. It's quite a fun build. Give yourself at least an hour and a half to put together. I use gloves because I know in the past through Endoskeletons, putting them together and buying them, gloves are very important with not getting your oily fingers and fingerprints all over the chrome. So if I just give you guys a tip with assembling it, is wear some gloves. Yeah, as I said before, a few photos look horrible, this piece. There are things that can be posed. So you can adjust the cables, as I mentioned earlier. The arms, you can, because they're magnetized, you can twist them left and right depending on how you want them. The head is on a ball joint. You can sort of see a plastic. I'll go this side and have a look. Inside there's a plastic ball joint. So a lot of people are making that mistake of just pulling the head out of the box, putting it on. It's looking down. It over accentuates the sort of the stroll forward, or that hunched look forward, which some have had some really bad leans, where others I've seen have been fine. So it's definitely something which, once I unboxed, I bent the head straight back and then inserted it, and it was already in that upright position. Makes a huge difference than him looking straight down. It sort of looks silly. So I know some collectors out there said that it doesn't move, but I can assure you it does move. It is on a ball joint, it moves quite freely. You could have this head up straight, a little bit higher actually, have it right down, you can have it looking left or right, having looking either way. So in person, I'm happy with the way it looks. On camera, looking at my sort of the way I have my pieces displayed, I'd turn the head a bit more looking through the camera, but without being on camera, the head looks actually quite good where it is. So I know I'm railing on a bit. There's a lot to get through with this piece. It's, as I said, it's absolutely massive. Here's my hand, so you can just imagine, base has got good weight to it, definitely supports the piece. That mate that I had get this, whose toes broke off, showed the over dramatic lean on it. Prime 1 told him to destroy it, which he did, and he said most of this piece, if not all of it, is either plastic, but majority is polystone. So he was able to smash all this up. This is all quite solid. The plastic being the ball joint and the fingers, I'd say, and the toes, but the rest of it is all polystone. And I'm pretty sure there'll be a metal rod going up through to the knee on both of those. So do I think it's worth the money? This was about $3 grand to get here Australian, so I'd say yes. Massive Terminator fan, and don't have much left for Terminator because I sold all my smaller 1/6 scale stuff on. Had quite a few in the Terminator collection, but going over quality over quantity these days. yeah, so I know some people are getting little parts out of the box that have had breaks and things like that, which has been unfortunate, having to go through the process of getting replacement parts, but I haven't had that drama, which I'm quite happy about. Overall, it's an excellent piece. I wouldn't believe all the negative stuff going on Facebook and whatnot about not looking good. As I said, you just need to adjust the piece. Some people have had this piece put together, these arms bent this way, the head's looking down, it just looks weird. And that's not how it looks. You need to change that yourself. But yeah, as I mentioned before, those two fails I worry about are the magnets in the arms and the plastic toes and feet. Will it lean forward in the future? Who's to know? Time will tell. I sure hope not. I know a lot of people have that really bad lean. See if I can get here and show you here. Primer deliberately gave it a bit more of an accentuated hunch. If you've seen the film, I know a lot of people would have seen the film that are watching this, he does drag that leg and he does lean forward, that hunched crouch pose. But you just imagine that head looking down will make it look worse than what it is. But in person, it's not that bad. And I've definitely, you know it's T1 when you see this piece in person. Once again, see I'm up high here, the top part of the piece looks bigger than the bottom. So you're going to get some distortion on camera because the piece is so large. Comes in one box, which is great. One large box, 2 layers in the foam. So you got the base and the legs and a couple of the pistons in the bottom part. You got the torso, the arms, the head, and all the other pistons for the chest cavity and the shoulders in the top part of the box. So as I said, put it aside some time. You'll have fun building it. But as I said, once you put it together, do not move it in one piece. Assemble it where you want it kept. As I said, because it will sway if you move it too much, because there's a lot of weight up top. All right, guys, I'm just going to give you some more close-ups before I finish up. I know I've been talking a lot, rambling on a bit, but I am quite excited to get this piece. Really happy with it. Just hope the eyes work tomorrow. You've got some weathering on the piece, so it's very much chrome, especially when you look at the head. They've got that slight overspray mist, which Sideshow does in all of their pieces. Teeth don't look bad at all, in my opinion, they look good. They've hazed it over to make it look battle worn, damaged, burnt from the bit of scoring from fire when it comes out of the fire. So it's not 100% clean, which is good. They deliberately rubbed off some of the chrome and like shown chips and things like that to give it that weathered, you know, he was hit by a truck as well, so you know, all that's got to be taken into consideration. If this was too shiny, just all over chrome, it'd look a bit cheap in my opinion. So very happy with the weathering. Yeah, be very careful with the arms and especially the fingers. If that drops down, hits the ground, you know, they're not gonna last. They're definitely gonna break. Here's the leg. This piston you actually have to put up yourself. It's sort of a magnet that holds that back piston on to show the broken ankle. So you put that one on yourself. Still not 100% certain if that rod goes right up into the leg. I don't think it would. It probably just goes up through the shin, up into here. It's got that nice sort of oil running look. Base is sort of nothing too special on top. Would have been nice. I know the Hot Toys had a bit of the yellow broken lines, like to show the road. Maybe something like that might have looked nice. A bit more shrapnel maybe would have looked good. But these sort of lines here look a little bit abnormal. But yeah, that's just small nitpicks. I definitely will be getting the Arnold version with the silicone head, the deluxe. Later on in the year, hopefully if that's not late or delayed, to complement this. And hopefully they do a Tech Noir version. I'm not sure if they will. 2 might be enough for them. But yeah, I would really love a half-scale punk Terminator as well, so. I'm not going to spin around and show you the back, guys. As I said, I just don't want to move this. I can sort of give you another look from behind here, but there's his back. Got his spine. That's probably best I could do with the back of the piece. Yeah, I keep saying I don't want to really move it, spin it around and put any pressure or swaying or movement on those feet. So I think, you know, if you get a good one and you put it together in one piece and leave it, I'm sure you'll be very happy with it. Obviously, if you get one with a couple of pieces broken out of the box, which I hope doesn't happen to too many people, you'll probably be a little bit annoyed or take a little bit of the fun of getting it, but hopefully Sideshow or Prime 1 can fix that. But yeah, I'm definitely recommend it. I'm very happy I got it now and relieved. I just hope that we don't have any issues with this guy in the future with leaning and other parts breaking in future, like the life size usually has. You know, a lot of people with the life size have a lot of issues later down the track. So fingers crossed, he's all in one piece in a few years' time. All right, guys, I'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed this video and review of the half-scale Prime 1 T-800 Endoskeleton. Thanks, guys. Bye for now.